The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
With so many people living longer, the fear of outliving your money becomes a reality for many of us. Will I be a financial burden? Will I outlive my money? How will I be remembered? My name is Neil Himmelstein, president of Main Street Planning Group. Please contact me by visiting mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. I will introduce you to strategies that will guarantee you will not outlive your money, that can guarantee you will not be a burden on your loved ones. Through a collaborative approach, we will uncover solutions that offer tax-efficient strategies, lifetime income, and legacy planning, choice, organization, direction, and education. That is the code we stand behind. Contact mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. And listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m. as I host the Main Street Code for Financial Success, right here on 103.9 LI News Radio. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. If you need to reach me, you can reach me at 631-647-4694, or visit me on my website at themainstreetcode.com. When we talk about our code, we talk about choice, organization, direction, and education. And we work with hundreds of advisors, accountants, and attorneys across the United States, and people like you who have needs in the areas of life insurance, annuities, long-term care, and disability. And today, we want to focus on that word organization and how important it is. And I have a special guest who's a listener of the program who reached out to me and talked to me about what he was doing, and I was just fascinated. And his name is Richard Kahn. And Richard, why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, Neil, I want to thank you very much for having me on your program. I found it to be educational, amusing, with humor, etc., and you get down to very basic things. I am an older person. I've been around the block a couple of times, been up, I've been down. Up is a hell of a lot better than being down.
That's for sure.
But the word that you mentioned, organization, terribly important into exactly what I do. So if you'd like me to, I'd like to tell you where I came from, how I went about it, and what I'm actually doing at the present time.
Absolutely. Why did you write this book? We're going to talk about the book that you wrote.
Right.
And how did that come about? What happened?
Well, if you go back to 2021, which wasn't so far away, I spent 6 or 7 months at Mount Sinai. I had major problems. I was in, I was out. I had 10 doctors. Doctor would come in, I'm laying in bed. He looked at me, he says, "Richie, how you doing?" I said, I gave him a moan or something like that. He said, "You look pretty good." That was $300 for 30 seconds. He didn't do a damn thing. I had 6 of those people. But I had problems, major. I had a pacemaker, had a watchman, had 6 or 7 transfusions, had an infusion. Wow. It was a whole thing. When this all came about, when this all happened, the boss, my wife, looked at me like your wife may look at you at any particular time, and she says, "What do I do if something happens to you?" Being indestructible, I looked at her and I said, "What do you mean, what do you do?" She says, "Look, I know about the legal side. I know that we have wills. I know that they provide for certain things which are legal, joint tenancy, conservatorship, everything like that." She said, "But there are things that I don't know which are far more important than I need to know." I said, "For instance," she said, "I don't know the personal side as opposed to the legal side." She said, "I don't know the doctors, the dentists, the lawyers, the accountants, the cemeteries, whether you want to be cremated or whether you want to be buried, etc. She says, I don't know any of that. And if
How about the plumber and the electrician?
Well, that's right. If she was, listen, Neil, honest to God, if she's laying in bed on Friday morning and I kicked off on Thursday, she goes, "Oh my God!" She throws her hands in the air. She says, "Oh, what do I do?" I said, "What about the car?" I said, "Call up Pat at Integrity Auto. He knows what to do." But Neil really hit it on the head. What do you do if you're laying in bed and you don't know what to do and you need the plumber, the electrician, the guy that fixes the windows? You need food to come into the house, or you need somebody to come in to actually clean. So she really didn't know anything. And the fault was my fault, wasn't her fault. But with that in mind, it seemed to me there were a lot of other people in a similar position as she would be. So, putting on my thinking cap, what I did is I formed a company, Vital Care, Vital Care, CARE, the number 3, Vital Care 3. And Vital Care 3 wrote the Vital Care Preparation Booklet, excuse me, the Vital Care Preparation Booklet, which was written primarily for a caregiver and or a person who might be a survivor, people who have experienced, let's say, a recent death in their family and or they're taking care of someone with, let's say, an acute sickness. The booklet lists everything a person is going to want to need to know in order to deal with a mournful situation. And again, we list the doctors, as Neil brought out. What about the plumber? It's list the doctors, the dentists, the lawyers, the computers, the cemetery, a burial, etc. Everything. Everything.
And the passwords. I mean, God forbid you need to get into your checking account today. You can't get your password. And I can't tell you how valuable that is today, is having that protection and knowing where things are, whether you're living or not living, or whether your child has to take care of you or somebody from the outside. Who do you call?
Neil, absolutely on the money, without a doubt, absolutely on the money. And that's part of the first thing that you said. It's organization. If you have the passwords, you'll be organized. If you don't have the passwords, it could take you 3 to 6 months to get them. I had to call up Optimum last night, not necessarily for a password, but I got a machine. I'm on the phone for 45 minutes, got cut off 3 times. Who the hell wants to do all this?
Right.
Why should the survivor have to do this to find out? If they have to do the passwords and they have to do just the computers, that could be a 3 to 6 month deal.
Yeah.
After the 3 to 6 months, they're going to wind up going to see an attorney. The attorney's going to charge them $400 or $500 just to walk through the door. So I have everything all in one particular place. I've advertised it.
Right.
I've advertised this on Facebook. I've been on Google. I've been on Newsday. I've been down to the American Consumer Show a couple of times. I even have got people that came to the house and sold it actually almost on a door-to-door basis.
Well, here, let's talk about your book that you put together. So the book lists everything, and you could do this for yourself. However, you may not even realize what you don't know until you do this self-fulfilling, fact-finding mission of where things are and what things should go and who to call. And I did this myself, by the way. 2 years ago, I had a minor operation. And my wife said, "You're going in for an operation. I need to know where things are, what things are." And you know what? I quickly had my will redone. I had this done. And, I have a lot of things I got to think about. My business, my this, my that. Even, I was doing repairs on the house and dealing with the town and every little detail of this and electrician. All these little details, I don't know how anybody, unless they sit there through this book. And what I love about your book, I can't say it enough, is you put it in a loose leaf binder. And this book is not a one and done thing. It is a working document for you, for your personal help and your spouse and your children. Everyone should have one of these books that can help guide you, and you can update. And because it's in a loose leaf notebook, you can add documentation to it so that you know where everything is, not just if you pass away, but if you're living and you have an event where you are incapacitated. And as we get older, we certainly all face that, but even when we're younger, we can face that, and how important it is tremendous. So,
Neil, I have to point out that what you did for yourself was terrific, and most people have not done that as of yet. And I can tell that you are organized and if you consider the situation important enough, what I've found is in dealing with people would say, well, Richie, I have this, I have this, I have that. And I said, really? She said, yeah. I said, my son's doing everything. And I would say, well, where does your son live? Oh, he's in Arizona. Is he coming from Arizona to New York to help do everything? I said, what about your daughter? She's in Michigan. They're not coming back. I said, look, he says, well, I have this and I have that. I said, where is it? Well, I got it over here. I got it over here. He has it in left field, right field, center field, etc. He didn't do what you did and what other people have to do.
Right. Listen, we're going to be right back in a few minutes. You're listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. And with me is Richard Kahn. How can they get a hold of you, Richard?
2 ways. They can go to my website, which would be www.vitalcare3.com, or they can call me direct, area code 516-528-3055.
Fantastic. We'll be right back with you, folks. Thank you. Welcome back to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein, and I'm here today with Richard Kahn, who's an avid listener and a well-experienced gentleman who came into my life after listening to the show, and someone had mentioned me and listened to my show, and we started talking about things. And Rich, what did you used to do for a living prior to developing this book?
My background primarily was financial. I spent over 50 years in the financial area. I was a stockbroker. I was a manager. I was a partner. I was a president. I had a 45-man brokerage firm, New York and American members. That was quite some time ago. Eventually, unfortunately, it broke up. It was an exciting business. It was a great business at that particular time. I'm not so thrilled with it anymore. I've been away from it for about 3 years, but it's changed. And I just want to say something which won't make me very popular with the financial people. When I started in the business, the man who was president of the company, I.W. Burnham, looked at me and pointed at me in a sales meeting and said, you know, Richie, she says, there's going to come a day where you're going to do business in the worst way and take an order. You're not important. Right at me. He said, the only thing that's important in your life is your client. And you have to treat your client the right way. You can't look to turn the account or do anything like that. It's a client-first business. What's happened in the business is it's changed as I saw things, the computers came in, the algorithms came in. The business really became the client was second, the broker was first, the company was first. That's what I found it to be. The client, he was there. He was there to provide money and to provide income, but he wasn't first. He wasn't the main consideration. Now, in my listening to you, Neil, on the air, and in speaking with you privately, you're a hell of a lot different than a lot of people in this business. You do insurance, you're a financial advisor, and you give a damn about people, and you're really looking to help people. In the same fashion, I'm looking to help people. What I have is something which they need. Unfortunately, they don't like to look at the face of mortality, how long they're going to live, or an accident can happen. But I tell you that if a mother goes in and buys this thing, she's got to sit down with her son or whoever going to be the survivor and do the thing together so that her wishes can be carried out as she would like them to be carried out. So even a son should buy this for the mother. So what I sell, I can't say it's the right thing. Anybody that's seen what I have likes what I have. Anybody that's heard say, Richie, it's a terrific idea. It's a terrific idea. I'm really doing something for somebody, but the other person's doing something for me. He's giving me the satisfaction that they can handle a certain situation.
You know, I don't think you're going to be unpopular with what you said. So let me just distract you there.
Sure.
The problem is the internet has given us wonderful opportunities to look up things and Google and find out everything. The problem is, and this whole society has changed. And I know from my kids. Listen, I always say this about my kids. When I was a kid, if I wanted to ask a girl out, for instance, I'd have to call the house, and the parent would answer the phone. I'd have to meet the parents. Today, even when my kids grew up, and forget about it today, and this is now 2 more generations down the road, they text. You don't know who they're talking to. You don't know who their friends are. You don't know who they're going out with. It's a very different thing. And people think they can get everything from that computer, which they can't. Okay? There's all these ads on TV. Buy term insurance. Do your own will. Do your own taxes with Quicken and this and that. And you've taken out the personnel, you've taken out the person, and the client hurts themselves. The person hurts themselves by not relying on professionals to take care of what their needs are. A computer can't tell you how you're feeling. A computer can't diagnose you. A computer can't say, I'm concerned about, oh, geez, am I going to make it? How am I going to live and not outlive my income? I mean, these are real concerns. The computer isn't answering those questions. You and I are answering those questions when they talk to us. But that's why you need to seek professionals who are going to work with you and help you, guide you through the process.
I want to compliment you personally, professionally. And you always said to me, not that we know each other so well, but well enough, the most important thing is to have a personal relationship with your client. A personal relationship, not a computer, not a text, none of that. Look, I'm a 20th century guy that's been dragged into the 21st century. I don't like it. It's digital. I have a lot of trouble handling something like that. But your idea and your concept of doing business and doing things for people is really what I feel myself. You're doing something personal for these people that they can't get from a machine. They can't get from the internet. The internet will give you a fact. Europe is over here or whatever it happens to be. But you want to actually sit down with a person or speak with a person. And you were right. When I was a kid and I wanted to go out with a girl or somebody, I didn't necessarily call, but I'd knock on the door. And mom and dad were there still looking at me and say, what do you want?
Right.
Especially the father. What do you want? The mother liked me, not the father. But it was different then, and I didn't walk down the street taking a look at a phone.
Right.
They don't converse. They don't converse. Look, I'm not finding fault with them. Every older age looks at a younger age, maybe let's say with disappointment, etc. But your concept of doing business, I could take and say it's my concept of doing business. It's the same. It's the same. You give a damn.
Right.
I give a damn.
Right. That's the key. So even when you get Rich's book, and I recommend that everybody buy one of Rich's books to help them organize themselves, and you list everything out. And I can't tell you, I get calls almost every day. I got a call yesterday from a woman. She says, I have an investment with you from 10 years ago. And she just got divorced. And she had other things with other people. And people collect things. People buy a house, they buy a car, they buy this, they move, they do that. And they collect all this stuff throughout their lifetime. And even if they're wildly successful, they probably collect more. If they're mildly financially successful, they collect maybe less, but still they collect a lot. And they don't even realize all the stuff they have and all the documents they have. And if they're working, if they're not, I'll look at people and I'll go through their investment portfolio. And I'll say, how do you feel about this? And do you realize that you have the same fund, the same investment in 5 different places, doing 5 different things, but you wanted to diversify, but you're not? You realize that your insurance is ready to collapse. All these things are evolving and changing, as you know, as the market has changed. You were telling me about the 70s when, you'd open up a checking account or a savings account and get 16%. So people didn't want to buy stocks then when they were getting 16% in a savings account. The world changed. The world's changing every day. Look at the last 6 months with interest rates. How we keep hearing in the news about inflation. Yes, Social Security is going up 8.7% next year. Yes, we have inflation, but yes, there's something you can do about it because we have guaranteed investments now that are around 5%, which are going to go away very shortly. But during this opportunity, take advantage of the changes. And that's my big recommendation to the world is take advantage of the situation you're in. And you can't do it by going on the computer. You need to call myself. You need to call Richie. You need to call professionals who can guide you through whatever the market is, whatever the interest rates are, whatever's going on in the world. So you're listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. You can always reach me at 631-647-4694. Reach out to me for questions. Let me review your documents. Let me help you and guide you. Let me be your quarterback to take you to the other professionals that you might need so that your plan works coordinated. And Richie, give your information out one more time. How can I get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me on www.vitalcare3.com, or they can call me direct, which I would really like to have a personal conversation. Area code 516-528-3055.
You got it. Thanks, Rich. Have a great day,
Thank
everyone.
you, Neil. Thanks very much.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.